So, we're back at it again, watching some New Japan Pro Wrestling. Today, we just caught night 2 of New Beginning in Hiroshima. This is one of the very few times where I'm like hours late to a New Japan show. Normally, I wake up early enough to catch this, so if I'm going to live stream it, or if I'm not live streaming, I'm just doing a review. Then I wake up early enough to only be like 2, maybe 3, 1 hour late to the show, so that way I don't have to check Twitter and have the show spoiled for me. Well, today, New Japan wanted to run their show at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, and after just finishing watching Dynamite at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, I did not want to stay up for 3 extra hours, then watch this show, and then not sleep. It was not worth it, so I'm just going to wake up 6 a.m. and watch this show. So I was 5 hours late. By the time I go to Twitter, I already had the main event spoiled, but it was never in doubt for me. I already had a feeling I knew who was going to win, much like most of you knew who was going to win. But we'll talk about that in a second. Well, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Tyler Mask, aka Tyler-kun Williams, aka Tyler Suplex, aka the one who lived, and welcome back to the Tyler Williams channel. We are here talking about New Beginning in Hiroshima Night 2. It is a 2-part show. After this, we're getting into the Castle Attack Tour 2-night event as well, happening on February the 27th and February the 28th, which is the same exact weekend as Jon Moxley versus Kenta on NJPW Strong. So a very strong weekend for New Japan. But before we get to that, let's talk about this show. First things first, I thought this show was a step up from yesterday's show. It flowed a lot better. I thought the quality of the matches were a lot more superior. And on top of that, I didn't feel insulted by the show like I did yesterday with the co-main event and then the egregiously long main event. But let's talk about this show. The first match we had here was a team of the Young Lions. We had the team of Yota Tsuji, Yuya Uemura, and Gabriel Kidd versus El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Doki. I'm talking about yesterday's card. Oof. Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi, and Doki. There we go. So, I thought this was another good match put on by the Young Lions because they're always really good at what they do. But I've been really enjoying this little Young Lion and Suzuki-Gun feud. It's a little mini one, not going anywhere. More than likely, if we're going to see any graduations, it won't be towards like the end of the year. But in this match, like yesterday, we had Yuya Uemura and Minoru Suzuki really going at it. This time was more so focused on Gabriel Kidd and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, they're both from the UK. They're both British, indie wrestlers, at least back in their heyday. So I assume that they had some type of interactions in the past that I may not have known of, and that's why we had those two, facing off a lot. But I enjoyed it. It didn't really ring too much true of a Young Lion versus a pro match. Gabriel could hang in there like he was wrestling a normal match. Now, he wasn't doing anything too out of the realm of what the Young Lion's supposed to do, but just the way he was presenting himself and the way he was really going to Zack Sabre Jr., it was very reminiscent of when Shota Umino will go up against wrestlers like, Shingo or Tanahashi. Like, Shota, was Young Lion, but he would be able to go at these wrestlers at a pace that was just like, wow, he may actually win this match. And that's where I got with Gabriel Kidd at times during this match, and now I never actually believe he was going to win. It was just nice to see. And sadly, Gabriel Kidd did end up going down to an armbar from Zack Sabre Jr., tapped out, so Suzuki wins this match. Like I said, it was never in doubt who was going to win, but it was easily an enjoyable opening match. I would give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. We then get into the next match, Tomoaki Honma. Oh, wait, back it up. Hey, look, it's Honma! Master Wado and Sho versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki. This was a decent, little match that just kind of happened. Master Wado, he got us moves in. He was very fine to see. Sho was going all over El Desperado, which is really fun as well. But yeah, Honma and Suzuki for a hot minute, which I thought was fine for what it was. I mean, Honma and Naito had some fun, little teasers and, all that kind of stuff. But Suzuki and Honma, it's like, I don't know. I mean, Suzuki's great and all, but him in there with Honma, I don't know how it's going to look. Now, they did fine with each other in this tag team match, because obviously you're only in the ring for like, 30 seconds at a time with these people at times, really. But it wasn't anything too crazy. I believe it was Kanemaru who ended up getting pinned by Master Wado. Am I right? Executed by the... I ain't gonna lie, I'm looking at my notes because I'm looking at my notes. I'm not remembering this match all too much. But in the end, it was Master Wado getting the pin over Kanemaru to secure the victory for his team, which makes a lot of sense considering that Master Wado and Kanemaru had a bit of a feud going when Master Wado first came back to Japan. He had that feud with Doki, then it kind of went into Kanemaru. I believe he lost to Kanemaru at Summer Struggle in Jingu Stadium, so I think this might be his 2-back win, so good for Wado. We then get into the next match, Yuzuru Takahashi, El Fantasma, or ELPP as I usually call him, and Taiji Ishimori versus Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Tetsuya Naito. This once again was another tag team match that was on the show, wasn't bad, wasn't necessarily anything you gotta drop to see. If you're passing by the show and you just want to skip to certain matches, this could be one of the matches you skip. Not too much happened. Tetsuya Naito ended up hitting the Destino onto Yuzuru and got the pin for his team. The only thing I think to note in this match is that at one point, Tetsuya Naito big booted Yuzuru in the face, and I think it connected a little bit too much because Yuzuru had a bloody nose for the rest of the match. It wasn't like profusely bleeding, but you could tell his nose was bleeding, so hopefully it's not broken or anything or fractured, but that was the most noteworthy thing of the match. Outside of that, Naito won. He posed with Hiromu Takahashi. They're still not going to do a match, I feel like, which is just depressing. But such is life, I guess. Such is life. Then we get into the next match. The team of Dick Togo and Evil versus Toru Yano and Kazuchika Okada. So, going into this match, I had zero interest. Not even gonna lie to you guys. It's Okada and Evil. They had a horrible match last year in New Japan Cup. We have Yano in here and Dick Togo, who I'm also not that enthused about. I mean, I like Yano, but it's Dick Togo. Dick Togo, I don't really care for. The bell, like, even before the bell rings, Okada attacks Evil. They go straight at each other. Okada's on the outside of the ring. He's beating down Evil. Next thing you know, referee's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still beating him down. Okada grabs a chair. He's holding on top of Evil's neck. Referee's counting 18, 19. Okada clearly hears referee. Does not care. Referee counts 20. Very, very rare in New Japan. But we actually got a count out finish, which I'm not like super excited about. But I was just like, oh, a count out finish. Like, referee never counts people out. They always tease it. You know, in WWE, they do the whole, you know, they count to 9 and then they get in the ring. Well, in New Japan, they do it a lot where they tease the possible 20 count, get to 19, both wrestlers get into the ring. So when they actually get to 20, it's like, oh, they actually lost. But since Okada and Evil were legal and they were both outside of the ring, what did end up being a double count out. And I'm like, well, that's corny. But at the same time, the match only went like 2 minutes. So I can't be disappointed because I didn't want to see the match to begin with. So that was that. They start walking to the back, at least Evil and Dick Togo do, and then Okada gets into the ring. He hops on a mic, and from what happened afterwards, I'm guessing he challenged Evil to a impromptu singles match, and I'm like, oh, well, this is different. Like, Okada's usually not that straightforward with this kind of shit, but Evil is debating. He's like, do I want to? Do I want to? And he tells Dick Togo to go to the back, and he gets into the ring. They go at each other, and the bell rings, and we now have an impromptu match on our hands. Kazuchika Okada versus Evil. Now, this is never how Okada matches go, and it is also extremely rare when Okada does not follow his formula. The bell rings, they're like hot and heavy, elbowing each other. Okada's doing his greatest hits. He's doing the elbows, he's doing the drop kicks, he's doing basically everything you want him to do except for the Rainmaker. And I'm like, I like this. I like this already. You know, I was half expecting we're going to start getting at least 15 minutes, but like literally 2 minutes in and they're already hitting their moves. And I'm like, and it's Okada getting most of the offense. Like 85% of this is Okada as it was in the last match. So Evil goes for something. Okada hits a drop kick. Next thing you know, he locks in the money clip. Doesn't even go for the twisting Rainmaker. He tries for the tombstone, but I think Evil gets out of it, and that's what leads to the drop kick. Now he locks in the money clip. And for a hot second, it looked like Evil was going to pass out. And I'm like, if Evil loses to Okada in 5 minutes, that would be like the biggest way to bury Evil. Like, I hate using the term bury, but like, for Evil to go from the heavyweight and IC champion to losing the title to Naito, like literally a month later, to basically being kind of sort of second in command of Bullet Club, we really don't know, to kind of sort of okay with Jay White, to now feuding with Okada in like a mid-cardish feud, and then in that mid-cardish feud, he loses in 5 minutes. Like, that would be a humongous step down. But I'll talk about that in a separate video. So, Evil ends up getting out of it, and now he's starting to get a little bit of offense in. Okada starts coming back. Then Evil starts getting some offense in. He locks him in a sharpshooter. Dick Togo comes out with the chair. Evil pushes the referee down. He gets into the ring and starts attacking Okada. Referee wakes up, calls for the bell. And I'm like, so, looks like we did all this for nothing. This was completely, like, they basically just extended out the tag team match. This exact same finish, this exact same play out could have happened in the tag team match, but I guess they just wanted to tease the fans with the singles match. But nonetheless, Okada wins by disqualification. This literally, and it sucks because it was actually like a good, for what it was, like for what we got, it was actually somewhat good. But like the fact that it only lasted 5 minutes, we got a DQ finish, I gotta knock it down to a 3 out of 10. The tag team match gets 2.5 out of 10 because that was literally only like 2 minutes and it was Okada and Evil the entire time. But this one was Okada and Evil again, but then it was a DQ finish. So 3 out of 10, 2.5 out of 10. You want to combine it and make a 5.5 out of 10? I don't care, but I hate when they cock tease us, man. I really hate that shit. Then we segue into our co-main event of the evening. We have the team of Yoshihashi, Hirooki Goto, and Tomohiro Ishii versus Jay White, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa for the never openweight 6-man tag team championships. I thought this was a really good tag team match. Now, as compared to last night's co-main event between Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Zack Sabre Jr., and Taichi, that match went nearly 30 minutes, was completely didn't know what it wanted to be. It was all over the place, then it was boring, and then it just ended in such a shitty manner. This match was none of those things. And I gotta give a lot of credit to Chaos here, because when Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi are all in the ring in a 6-man tag team match, at least the last crop of six, like ever since the 6-man titles got vacated after Dominion and they had that little tournament to determine who's going to be the 6-man tag team champions, Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi have just been killing it in 6-man tag team matches. Like, literally, I would say most of the 6-man tag team matches I've seen them in have always been either really good or above. This is no slouch. Like, everybody in here just looked really good. Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, they stepped it up a bit from how last night's were. I think maybe it's just Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. to have a bit of matches with, but when they're in the ring with your Goto and your Ishis, that's when they step it up a bit. Jay White in here, he was really good as well. He went straight at Ishii. They still are continuing that rivalry. Anytime they got into ring with each other, it was really good. Jay White and Yoshihashi had some little bit of skirmish in here. That was actually really fun as well. Very underrated matches Yoshihashi and Jay White have. I would actually like to see them in the at least the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup, but we shall see what happens then. But what I will say is that it went about 27 minutes, and I enjoyed it mostly all the way through. That 25-minute mark is when you got a bit deeper into the match. You had Yoshihashi locking in Tonga Loa in the butterfly lock, and for a hot second I thought he was going to have to tap out Tonga Loa, which would have been a good endorsement for Yoshihashi, which I'll talk about that in a second. But Geto gets on a rope, and he distracts him. And this leads Jado to come out because New Japan just cannot resist. They absolutely cannot resist Bullet Club. And if, like, it doesn't matter what match or who's involved, if it's the Bullet Club, you can guarantee there is interference no matter what. And it is just so annoying that they feel the need to repeat the same formula for every single Bullet Club match. But here we are. So Jado comes out, he smacks Yoshihashi in the back with the kendo stick, and I thought for a hot second Bullet Club was going to win. I was going to be actually kind of doped out of it because it's like, this is a good match ruined by Bullet Club shenanigans. But Tonga Loa gets him up on his shoulders, get Yoshihashi up on his shoulders. Yoshihashi gets out of it, ducks him forward, and puts him in a roll-through pit and gets the 3 count. Now, I thought it was an anticlimactic finish, but Chaos retains the 6-man tag team championships. Jay White just continues his slope down the card. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa still are, you know, your tag team champions, but they're not your double tag team champions as they were once before. And above all, I thought it was a really good match. I would give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Maybe not something you drop everything and go and watch, but definitely don't skip over this match. It's definitely worth your time. That leads us into the main event of the evening. Kota Ibushi defending his IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championship against none other than Sonata. So, Kota Ibushi and Sonata, they have a very, very weird rivalry where it's like sometimes they have good matches, then sometimes they don't. G1 Climax 30 Finals is the last singles match they had, and that was just not a good match in my opinion. It was really, really long, and I felt like it was a match that I felt like a bunch of nothing happened. Like, I can't tell you a single thing that happened aside from like the pin attempt that Sonata had in the finish. That's it. Nothing else from that match I can remember. So going into this match, my expectations were low. They exceed expectations, but once again, they're low expectations. I thought the match was good. And that's credit to Sonata. I thought Sonata, he did his thing in here. He had one of the better performances I've seen from him, but it's not really anything to brag about because the match, in my opinion, wasn't better than the previous match. I thought the co-main event was better, and that's not to say this was a bad match once again. It was good, but I mean, I would say this is similar to Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito, where you expect better, and you're kind of like, well, I didn't hate the match, but I didn't love the match either. I didn't love this match, but I just didn't dislike it, you know? So to, fast forward to the end, because I think the middle and the beginning really didn't do too much for me anyway. Sonata did try for his Okada roll that got the 3.3 count that people tried to proclaim that he got at G1 Climax, and Ibushi kicked out. Earlier in that match, he tried for it, and Bushi kind of held him through and didn't get it, and that kind of led to the Kamaguye to the back of the head, and then he Kamaguyed Sonata again, this time to the front of the head, and Sonata kicked out, which I'm starting to dislike this because it's like the Kamaguye at one point in time was a very protected move. No one kicked out of it. Ever since G1 Climax 29, when Okada kicked out of the Kamaguye, it seems like whenever they're at this like point where it seems like they want to tease maybe the guy's going to beat Kota Ibushi, they kick out of the Kamaguye, which just annoys me because like first it was Okada, then it was, I think after that it might have been Evil, then it like it just, you go down a line and it's like people are just kicking out of the Kamaguye, and now it's like unless he pulls a knee pad down, it's not going to work. That's basically what it feels like now. So after that, he goes for the Okada roll again, and Ibushi kicks out at 2.99. They try to do the same tease again. Sonata gets overzealous and tries for it one more time, a bit too overconfident because Ibushi gets out of it, hits him with a V-trigger, the knee pad is down at this point, then follows that up with another Kamaguye for the pin. Kota Ibushi retaining the IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championships. Like I said, thought it was a good match, but nothing too crazy. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. After the match was really the most noteworthy thing about this show. Tetsuya Naito comes out to the ring. Now, mind you, Tetsuya Naito and Kota Ibushi had a match at Wrestle Kingdom that saw Kota Ibushi beat Tetsuya Naito to become the new heavyweight and IC champion. So you're like, well, I mean, Naito won the match early in the night, but, I mean, he didn't really beat anybody big to warrant a double championship match, and we just had that match literally a month ago, so I don't know how soon they want to do that, but Naito comes out, and from what I read on NJPW 1972, he basically all but said that, I want to get another crack at you, but I realized that I did lose at Wrestle Kingdom, so I feel I am ineligible to challenge for both titles. So, in an attempt to stop, because Naito is pretty much against Ibushi unifying both titles, like Ibushi's plan is to bring both the IC and heavyweight together, which you might as well do because they've been together for an entire year. Naito says, I'm against it, and in my attempt to basically stop you from doing that, I'm going to challenge for one title, and that is the Intercontinental Championship. So, Tetsuya Naito and Kota Ibushi, they basically make that official in their own way, and it looks like that may be our main event for at least night 1 of Castle Attack, Ibushi and Naito for the IC Championship. And if you're a fan, and if you have been begging for a New Japan to split these titles up, then you gotta be absolutely ecstatic, because I firmly believe Tetsuya Naito is going to beat Kota Ibushi for both titles. I knew at some point somebody was going to challenge Ibushi and take one of those titles off him. I just didn't expect it to be Naito. I actually thought it would have been Sonata to be the one to challenge Bushi for the IC and beat him for it, but then he challenged for both titles, and I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. So it's like, well, who else would it be? And I'm like, maybe Ospreay, but I'm like, Ospreay, in my opinion, could honestly beat Bushi for the heavyweight, which I'm not rooting for, but it could happen. But I'm like, Naito beating, here's how I see it. Naito beating Ibushi for the IC championship tells me that they never have plans to put the heavyweight championship on Naito ever again. That's what it tells me. After Wrestle Kingdom 14, when he beat Okada, he peaked. He was the heavyweight champion. Sadly, COVID fucked up his reign. He ended up dropping the title in his first defense to Evil. He got it back at Jingu Stadium, had his moment again, and then he lost it to Bushi at Wrestle Kingdom. You got people, Naito fans got what they wanted, but sadly, I think his time in the heavyweight division is over. I think they're always going to have that special place for Naito in that main event picture. But as far as him, you know, going after the heavyweight championship, being, you know, the ace of the company again, which in my opinion, he never was the ace. They never got behind him in that manner. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that this is where we see Naito get back into that role as that, I don't want to say top mid-carder, but not quite the ace, but just underneath. Like, he's, like, you know, top level's right here, Naito's right here. He's just never going to get there again. If he was ever here, he's never going to get there again. Like, this is his glass ceiling, and that's the IC Championship. And that's not exactly where I want to see Naito, but that's where I think he's going to be set for the rest of his career. But that was New Beginning in Hiroshima Nights 1 and 2. What did you guys think? Comment down below. Let your boy know. If you watch this on YouTube, smash the like button. The algorithm goes crazy when you do. And let me know in the comments section, what's your speed run world record? How long did it take you to hit the like button? Did you hit it right away, or did you hit it when I told you to? Comment down below. Let me know that. Also, comment down below what was your thoughts on this show, this review. I'm outie. Thank you all for watching this video. I love you guys always, and I will see you all later. Peace.